Hello and welcome back to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Dumbest Moments of the Week. Well, we've got quite the story and quite the week for Miss AOC. That's right, we're talking about Alex. She's coming fresh off of a primary win. That's right, she won re-election as expected. Most of us saw this coming. She's a very famous person now. She has a lot of name recognition, so it was really a no-brainer that she was going to win. Sure, we hoped things could have changed. We hoped for the best for this area that she represents. The Bronx certainly deserves a better representative, someone who will actually visit the district and try and help the people instead of focusing on more things above her pay grade. I mean, AOC is more about public stuff like in the federal level. She more cares about changing the whole country instead of just like helping her people. But that's besides the point. Today, we're talking about AOC and this new story. She has a very, very funny picture that came out. And it resulted in this story to talk about this whole health crisis once again. We know the health crisis has been going on. It's had its waves. It's gone up and down over the year. Basically, since February, it kind of sparked off at the end of that month. And then people were in full lockdown by March. And now things have kind of let up, but they're also getting ready for what they're thinking might be a second wave. Like it might pop back up again. And we're still in the summer too. So things have kind of been hectic around this issue. And one thing that's been really, really raised up is the liberals have switched gears about the whole mask situation. Originally, they were anti-mask, and people like Fauci and the liberals in the government, like running the medical, the surgeon general and stuff like that, they said masks didn't help in the beginning. And then all of a sudden they backtracked and they're like, oh, you have to wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, you're going to jail. Like seriously, they flipped so quick. And that's a very funny story. You could go back to the archives. Like we remember, guys, like I don't know how they think they could get away with this, but we all remember the video clips and the quotes and the tweets talking about how masks didn't work in the beginning. But now masks are important, and now they want to like make everyone wear them. And that comes up with AOC because of this picture. I'll go ahead and just jump right to it. This is Alex at some kind of event. It looks like it might be Grow, like a charity for the earth, or it might be just like a farmer's market or something. She's visiting her district. I think I'll give her credit there. I believe she's in her own area. And the funny part is this is her blowing bubbles at a kid with a mask. And Alex, it's hard to see at this angle. I saw another angle. You could see her mask is below her chin. It's obviously not on her face. And she's blowing this bubble at a kid. I'm not sure how close they're going to get. It looks like they're kind of just starting off. They might be blowing back on her. But the point is, this is just not a good look. This is just very, very ignorant. It's like very funny. It's kind of like when you see these people, they're trying to help. They're trying to like do the right thing and be smart. It's like, oh, I want to be healthy. I want to be safe. But they just mess up the most basic stuff that like a real person over the top of them, like someone that has maybe medical experience or just knows how the body and breathing and bacteria and how this virus spreads. And that's the thing. You just look at this and it's like, okay, did you think this through, Alex? Like you're going to blow bubbles on this kid in a photo op? And like, what if it goes in her face? Like, what if it goes in her eye? You could spread it through the eyes or the nose or the ears, like anything can get through to your penetration. But there is some doubt on that now. They are talking about if it's even airborne anymore. That's a new discussion. But the point is, if these guys are worried enough to wear a mask, then they shouldn't be doing bubbles. That's the thing. Like they're so worried. Like Alex is like pro mask and the kid's even wearing a mask. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but they're really showing a dramatic like misunderstanding of the point. Like she's blowing her germs into this bubble, and then it's potentially going to blow on someone. Like it might not be the kid. It might be someone over here behind her. Like it's a crowded area. It's just really weird and dumb. And it just shows people don't understand like how this thing really works. And it's to be expected from Alex. We know she's not the sharpest crayon in the box or the brightest tool in the shed. And I know I mixed those phrases up, but you know what I mean. She is just always shown to not understand things. It reminds me of people who wear their masks wrong. Like we've seen those pictures a lot where someone like doesn't cover their nose, which is like kind of half the reason you wear a mask. And then other people will have like, just have them on upside down or like they can't put them on, funny images like that. But this one really takes the cake. This is real classic Alex too. So let's read on into this story and see how this all played out. We spoke with the freshman congresswoman while she campaigned in Queens and the Bronx this week about Black Lives Matter, the way power works in Washington and what she hopes the country will look like when she is the same age as her mentor, Bernie Sanders. So she wants to know what the country will look like 100 years from now, I guess. Bernie's like older than dirt. Okay, this is by John Tarleton. June 26. AOC took a mellow journey across New York's 14th congressional district late Tuesday afternoon as she waited for the votes to pour in, confirming her victory in the Democratic primary. From Astoria to Corona to Parkchester to Allerton, she was greeted warmly by a steady trickle of constituents in Queens and the Bronx as they entered polling places, and at subway stops as trains rumbled to a halt and disgorged her heavily immigrant and working class constituents. And before we move on, I would say to me, this is what it reminds me of is she's kind of like this like celebrity politician. Like I know she wasn't famous before. She's just kind of famous for winning this election. This election she won to initially get into Congress, and then now she re-won and got back in again, which was expected. But what I'm saying is she's like famous, but it's like she doesn't really do anything. Like she never really accomplished anything in her job. Like she didn't pass any bills. Like her plans were all voted down. She just had like a lot of dumb ideas and a lot of like exaggerated like green plans talking about changing the world that never happened and won't ever happen anytime soon. And it's just like she's famous for being famous. Like she's almost like a Kardashian or like a reality show star or something. Like she just happens to be in this congressional seat and everyone loves her in the district. That's what I'm reading here. And I'm just wondering, I'm like, what do they love her for? Like, what has she actually done? She hasn't accomplished anything. I never seen a candidate's supporters out here on election day, much less the candidate herself, said James, an Allerton resident, as he gestured to Ocasio-Cortez and a table full of campaign literature staffed by volunteers. If 2018's election concluded with a final sprint toward a shocking victory, this was more like a scroll down victory lane. I'm just trying to get reelected today, she said with a laugh from behind a black face mask when a reporter asked her about her much anticipated plans for 2022 and beyond. I covered AOC's 2018 run against Joe Crowley. Like so many, I was astounded to watch her become a leading national figure overnight in a way that no rookie congressperson has ever done before. 2 years later, I was curious to see her on the campaign trail again. Waiting patiently for moments when there are no voters around, I ducked in and asked her a few questions at a time. We talked policy and she learned about herself and about politics and power during her singular journey over the past 2 years. This interview has been lightly edited for concision. Okay, so we've got a bit of an interview. We got pictures of her with the mask. And it's just really ironic that they posted this picture, and this is their top picture, and they don't even realize the kind of implication, the kind of bad look it is regarding the virus. Like, and it just shows that they're not really that concerned. Like, they're wearing the mask, but it's like for show. It's like a virtue signaling mask. And the main thing now is the reason they're all pro-mask now is like they want to shame people that don't wear them. And they also want to like force people to wear them. It's about control now. It's like taking away your rights, your freedoms, and trying to get the more power to this government. And then you see Alex here, and she's got this kind of South American themed advertising like she had before. And I think it just looks like it's like socialist style. Like she's like basically the socialist communist candidate. She wears shoulder pads like it's back in the 1980s, which makes sense because I mean that's when communism and socialism was much hotter. Before we actually defeated socialism, communism, fascism, we won World War II. Like we defeated all these bad ideologies, but now we're seeing it pop back up. We're seeing this kind of Latin American candidate embrace this socialist kind of angle, the look, the style of it, like borrowing from like Chavez or Che or all these Venezuelan like countries that are totally wrecked right now. I mean, it's not the places you want to look up to. You don't want to look up to some place that's failing. And the fact of the matter is the masks kind of tie into that because these kinds of countries would force this onto people, and they would also use these kinds of health scares as a way to like scare the public and get them to do what they want. So here, I'm going to skip down a couple questions and get to this interesting one. It's about what she dreams for the America's future. Apparently, this writer pointed out AOC will be how old Bernie is now in the year 2067. Here, she lists out what she wants to accomplish by 2067. She says, I think it's less about what I hope to personally accomplish and what I hope the movement has accomplished. I hope by 2067, every single American would be guaranteed health care in the United States and that it's free at the point of purchase. I would hope by 2067, we would have taken dramatic action to respond to climate change to make sure that we indeed have maintained a livable planet for ourselves and our children. I would hope by this year that we have dignified work and labor and life for every person in the United States, and we have broken or busted up intense concentration of wealth, which is oligarchical and in many ways authoritarian and dictatorial. This is on my wish list. I know I alone cannot accomplish those things, but I do know we can as a movement. So here's what I see, and this is the point, a greater point, is that AOC isn't like an individual person. She doesn't have like any kind of message or things to do herself. She's just part of this big socialist movement, this big justice, social democrats. They call them justice democrats, and they have all these different names for them. But basically, it's communism. It's like they want to take money from the rich and distribute it to the poor. They're like Robin Hood. They think they're heroes because they're acting like Robin Hood from some fairy tale. But really, this is like the government taking money from rich people and stealing it from them and giving it to other people. Like, this is what she wants. She straight up says this. Like, she calls it oligarchical and all this stuff, authoritarian, dictatorial. I mean, that's just bogus. It's like, this is just people who worked hard, saved their money, and got rich by, investing, building companies, whatever they did. They earned their money, and she wants to take it. She doesn't want to earn money for herself. She wants to take it from other people, give it to the poor. And you got to remember, that is transactional. She's not just giving poor people money. She's buying their votes. She's using this money to get votes and to get power. And this is what communism is. I mean, that's exactly what we learned about in school. You learn about capitalism versus communism, and it's like, yeah, okay, in America, we're capitalists. You can work a job, you can save your money, buy your own house, your land, your car, and you get to keep that. You're on your own. You pay some taxes. It's a small amount. That's the American way, is like a smaller amount of taxes. Like, you don't want to pay half your money in taxes. Otherwise, you can't afford those things. So that's capitalism. And then communism is you don't own anything. You don't get paid. You just work this job and you trade it in, and the government gives you food. They give you health care. They give you everything. Like, you don't have your own money. You just have to kind of lean on the government. They hand out everything. They give you everything spoon-fed, and it's just like, you don't get to buy a house. You can't own anything because everything is the government's. They just assign you to a place to live, like in a hotel room or some kind of place, like you're living in some kind of jail almost. And I know that's a simplified, maybe not perfectly accurate comparison of those ideologies, but that's the way it really is working out. I mean, this is what AOC wants. And I think it's very telling and very funny that it's coming from this super young girl who doesn't know much about anything. She just barely learned how the government works. And then now she's working in it, and she wants to make us communist. And, then you go back to this picture and you're like, yeah, should we really be trusting this chick with all of our money? That's the question you want to answer. I mean, she basically is saying that. I mean, when you want to take all this money from rich people and give it away, like, you're saying you're better at spending that money than they are. You're better at spending all of our money than we are. And this is a chick who doesn't even know how this virus works or how to wear a mask or how to not infect people. And just the fact that she's that bold is making her very dangerous. And that's why it's interesting that she's this celebrity candidate who hasn't got anything done and has the worst plans ever. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also, hit that like button to get this thing shared. And until next time, have a great day. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about our new second channel. NoBS News has been really ramping up recently. We've got over 10,000 subscribers now, and it's growing each and every day. This is a new extra channel where I can give you guys more content, which includes extra videos, sometimes streams, sometimes other fun things too, clip shows, whatever you like. NoBS News is going to have it there for you. So make sure you check it out by either searching NoBS News on YouTube or clicking the link below this video. Thanks for your time. Have a good one.